Okay, guys, this is going to be my part 2 to the Kim Porter video that I made 5 years ago. I was really on point with that, being that there was very little out at that time. Diddy wasn't exposed at that time. Only the people closest to him knew exactly who he was. So I find it interesting and sad that this has become exactly what I thought it was from the beginning. And I'm upset that I was right about it. When I first heard about her death and how they were being very hush-hush about it, and then talking about how she had pneumonia and she had been sick for a couple of weeks, and she wasn't in the hospital, and she didn't have a nurse, and she was by herself, and it just, nothing added up to me as far as that goes. And it just made me realize that he had something to do with it. And I'm sure back then when I made the video, people were like, this woman's crazy. Like, P. Diddy didn't kill her. Like, P. didn't kill anybody. But now, I mean, this is undeniable at this point. He can't hide anymore. He can't hide who he really is anymore. His time is up. So now, my question is to this whole thing. As Jaguar Wright has said, that many people were writing tell-alls and then they ended up dead. Okay. I think it was obviously much more than that. He knew that all this stuff was eventually going to come to the surface. But I have to say it like this. I don't know who he pissed off or what he said he wasn't going to do, or whose line he crossed for all this stuff to be brought out into the public. He obviously crossed somebody. He obviously did something that wasn't appropriate to the higher-ups who he answers to, for all of this to come out. I mean, it's not just one thing. It's like everything's coming out. So it makes me question, definitely makes me question who he pissed off, because this stuff was never supposed to be revealed. This stuff was supposed to be buried forever. So he had to have pissed Clyde Davis off, or somebody higher up than him, that's making this all evident and bringing it to the surface. And not just one thing, but everything. I mean, there's so much going on that, like, I can't even keep track of it all. I knew what this man was about in the early 90s, but I mean, to this extreme, like, I knew he was nuts, but like, watching him put his hands physically on Cassie and watching videos and listening to things that he said, and people who were working with him and people who were around him and what they saw, and like, it all just adds up into exactly what I thought it was 5 years ago, and what I knew once Biggie was murdered, that he had something to do with it. And I feel like this can of worms was opened by the whole Tupac revival with the case against the guy who supposedly killed him. and how he was convicted of it, but he's saying that he wasn't one that did it. He was in the car when it happened, but it was his nephew that did it. And then after that, it seemed like it was a domino effect with anything having to do with Tupac. So that just brings me right back to who orchestrated Tupac's murder. And I hope everybody knows that P. Diddy was involved in that. And that's why everything is just pouring out after that. That trial occurred, and then it was just like complete chaos afterwards for P. Diddy. So to me, I feel like that trial opened up a can of worms, and I'm not sure how. But I know his name was mentioned many times in that trial. I did not watch it. I did not look up anything about it. I just kind of knew where it was going to go, and I knew who he was going to bring up. And now it's obvious that he did, because, I mean, this is just a shit show as far as I'm concerned. Beyond my expectations, that's for sure. I mean, I knew he sacrificed people. I knew that, you know, he did things to get where he was, being with other men, and it's just part of fame, and it's just part of having fame, money, and power. You cannot get that without doing certain things. So now, in this day and age, it's a little bit more opened. It's a little bit more talked about. But back in the day, it was something very hush-hush. People didn't like to talk about it. People didn't like to bring it up because they made themselves a target. So that's part of the reason why I started this channel years ago. I just feel like if they're going to come get me, they're going to come get me, and at least I'm going to get what I have to say out before that happens. And I'm not the only one that's I'm not the only one that's talking. I'm not the only one that has information. I'm not the only one who's known all these years that this man was the way he is. But it's like, to have it on videotape, and these people are actually giving up the video, which damn right he paid them to make that video disappear, and it never did. And it was just waiting on the sidelines for now. And here it is coming out, all these videos. But at one point, we also have to look at P. Diddy was untouchable at one point. He was the person that could get away with just about anything, and people would keep their mouth shut. Just like R. Kelly. I mean, look how long R. Kelly got away with what he got away with until something happened where he didn't please the masses, and his shit was, all over the place. Everything, videos were coming out. People were talking. All of a sudden, everybody had something to say. But it's like, this is the way it happens. It happens the same way for all of them. They don't do something or don't say something they're supposed to, and boom, they're splattered all over the place. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm more surprised that he's actually being pursued about it. He's being brought for justice. Not that I'm going to say that he is not going to get away with this, because I don't know that yet. I don't know what he's going to have to do or say or sacrifice in order to get himself out of this mess, if at all possible. But if there is a way of him getting out of it, he's going to find it. That's for damn sure. Because apologizing and then denying it at the same time doesn't make sense. And then he has the balls to say he was in a bad place. Dude, how could you be in a bad place? Like, you made your life exactly how you wanted it. You got everything you wanted, and you were in a bad place. Like, that's why you decided to do what you did to Cassie and do what you did to hundreds of other people because you are having a bad time, and then to say everybody's having a bad time, yeah, a bad time that you have no idea about, that you don't remember since you lived in Mount Vernon and before you were even known to the world. I don't think you remember those days. Too far back for you after everything that's happened. It's like, you're not sorry. You're just sorry that it came out. You're just sorry that there's evidence to prove that you did these things. There's videotape. There's recordings. There's people who've seen it with their own eyes. I mean, I don't think he ever thought in a million years that anybody would ever betray what they seen or what happened between him and them in general. So I'm sure he's still as cocky as ever because he really thinks he's going to get out of this somehow. That all this stuff is going to go away. And all he has to do is look at R. Kelly. It didn't go away. It just got worse and worse and worse. People are tired of covering up for him. People are tired of covering his messes, cleaning up his shit. Okay? Everybody's tired of it. And now it's out in the open for us all to say. Things that I knew when I was 12 years old are coming out now. Okay? Years later about him that I knew in my gut was true. And people used to tell me, you're crazy, you're nuts, you're this, you're that. Am I really? Because now, I mean, they really can't say that, can they? I mean, more is out than I ever anticipated coming out. And I'm pretty happy about it at this point. And no, I'm not happy about what he's done. I'm happy that hopefully he's going to face the music in a way that he's never faced it before, where he's going to have to deal with the consequences of his actions and those around him who enabled him to do these things and be this person, okay? Because it's not just him. It's the enablers around him that allow this to continue on and on and on, because they clean up his mess, they keep their mouth shut, and they just go along with whatever he says. They're just yes men. Until now everybody's just spilling their guts out about things that I really thought were going to stay hidden forever. But you know what? Never say never. And, you know, obviously, like I said, he must have did something, said something, or didn't do something, or didn't say something that he was supposed to. And now the higher-ups are going to put him through this, drag him through the mud like they did R. Kelly. And, you know, it's just about who's next. Who else is going to get exposed by him getting exposed? Because he's one of those people that if he's going to go down, everybody's going down with him. Because, you know, he's just a piece of shit like that. So, I mean, anything could pop off from here on out. And, like, did he learn anything from R. Kelly's situation? Like, who thought R. Kelly was ever going to be called out on the shit that he did years ago? Like, he really, really thought he was untouchable. This man thought he was totally untouchable, and so did R. Kelly. But, like, that R. Kelly situation should have really made him step back and say to himself, shit, if it could happen to him, it could happen to me. So, like, maybe I should just stop doing what I'm doing and change my life and be a different person so that my fucking laundry isn't hung out to dry the way his is. But apparently he didn't learn anything from that. That's obvious. And it's amazing how much comes out when it comes out. It's like unbelievable. It's like I said, a domino effect. It just all blah, all over the place. And I haven't even watched half the videos about the stuff that they found and the things that people are saying. And I haven't even sat down and watched them. And I'm going to tell you why. because I knew this stuff, okay? I knew this stuff when I was 13 years old, and Biggie had just came out, and when he was killed, I knew that Puffy was behind it. I felt it in my bones, and I never ever wavered from that. Never. I always said, I know he was behind it. I know he's an evil son of a bitch. I know he does things to people and does things in general that would make somebody's fucking head spin. And sure enough, here we go with the head spinning, right? And it's like, I don't want to watch all the videos because I want this to come from within me. The feelings I felt all these years. The things I knew he was capable of and doing. I don't want to watch other people's commentary on it because this is stuff that I saw a long time ago. So, like, I'm so curious, these tunnels and, all this stuff. But you got to think, things like this have been going on for centuries. I mean, under Rome, there was an entire city. Under Egypt, there was an entire city. There was always a way for those who needed to get away. Okay? This is not a new scenario. This is just people using things that worked in the past in the present. Okay? Just like the Nazis in their underground cities. Like, people learn from that. People decide, yeah, I could do that. That'll work for me. And apparently it did for a while. Not to mention, like, the fact that, Jay-Z's on the line now, boy. Like, I can't wait till they open up that can of worms. Because that shit, I think he's worse than P. Diddy. Real shit. Not even playing with you. And his wife is right behind them. I don't know how many people they killed, how many people they killed together, how much shit they've done together or separately or whatever, but that can of worms will be coming, believe me, because Diddy's going to take everybody down with him. He is not street code like he says he is. And this is when you find out who your real friends are, if you have any, okay? Because so far, it seems like everybody's just running for the hills. They're not sitting around denying this or, sticking up for him or saying this is not true. It's like everybody's just running for the friggin' hills. Nobody wants to have anything to do with this. So, like, here we go. When it gets down to the nitty gritty, there's nobody but you standing there. So in the end, like I tell everybody, you worry about yourself, you take care of yourself before anything. Because when it comes down to it, ain't nobody going to be there. You're going to be there by yourself dealing with this. And that's exactly what he's doing. And unfortunately, he's brought his kids into this whole thing. Like, he couldn't just be the weirdo, right? He had to bring his sons into this shit. Like, what have they seen? What have his kids seen? Okay? What have his kids done with him? Like, that we don't know about yet. Like, it's absolutely insane not only to live your life that way, but to make sure your kids are living their life the same way. And I think that that's part of the reason he got rid of Kim is because Kim kept those kids straight and narrow and made sure he did. And as they were getting older, he wanted to introduce them to certain things and knew that she wasn't going to be on board with him showing them these things or having them involved in these things or even knowing about them. Okay? Because, when you're kids, you could hide certain things, but as you get older, you start seeing it. So I'm pretty sure that that's part of the reason why he had to get rid of her, because she was standing in the way of him influencing those kids. And without her around, they really don't have anyone who's stern enough to be like, no, this is not how you live. This is not how you do things. It's just yes men. So that could have very well been motive, okay, for him to get rid of her. 100% motive, okay, because she watched those kids like a hawk. And then as soon as she was gone, from that point to now, these kids have been exposed to God knows what, okay? And I think that's what she was trying to avoid the entire time. She knew the abuse that she dealt with. She knew what he did and what he didn't do. And that was part of the reason she didn't want to be with him. And part of the reason why she didn't want her kids with him full time. But he made sure that she was done away with. Anybody who did not agree or, stand there and do the same things he were doing, they were X'd out. Because what he says is what goes. And it's sad that he had to get rid of the mother of his own children because she wasn't going to allow them to become him. And that's exactly what's happening as far as I'm concerned. He's making them do things that they probably wouldn't do if she was alive, because she would know about it. So, I always thought a motive, why would he kill her? He cared about blah, 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 loved her so much, blah, blah, blah. What could possibly be the motive for him to want to get rid of her? Now, it's pretty obvious why. I mean, his kids, regardless whether they get rehabilitation or what happens to them, they're never going to forget all of the stuff that they've seen and have gone through, thanks to their father. So, I mean, who knows where they're going to end up or how they're going to end up in the end. Because they're really the victims here who have become the perpetrators. And honestly, I don't put anything past this man, okay? What he's capable of or what he's done, I don't put anything past him. I wouldn't even trust his daughters around him. If you do that to the women that you're with, how are you raising your daughters? What are they seeing? What have they saw? What have they heard? Were they mistreated in any way? We don't even know. But believe me when I tell you, little by little, this shit's gonna come out. Just like it's coming out now. I just hope that those he ruined, those lives he ruined, and took, he gets the maximum penalty for that. Because this needs to be set as an example for the rest of the people who are doing what he's doing. That you are not untouchable. That you are not Superman. You can be brought down just like anybody else. So everybody really needs to get their shit together. Because you are not untouchable. And that's just proof. What happened to him is just proving that to me. That if he could be caught and he could be exposed, anybody could be exposed. Okay? And like I said, I know Jay-Z and his wonderful wife had something to do with all of this too. See, this is the thing. You give up one person, but you don't realize that eventually it's going to be your fucking turn. And the tables are going to turn around on you. And people are going to start giving your ass up. And telling your shit. Which they're already telling their shit. Okay? There's plenty out right now about Jay-Z and Beyonce. But there's tons more. There's things that you couldn't even possibly imagine. And that's all going to come out. Every bit of it. I just wanted to make this quick video. just on my thoughts since my video 5 years ago. And I think it's really relevant to what's going on right now and what I was seeing and feeling at that point before anybody else was. And I'm definitely going to continue this because I'm sure there's a shitload of things that are about to pop off that I'm going to want to talk about. But right now, I'm not going to watch any kind of videos. I am not going to read anything. I want this to come from a place of within so that you guys know that 5 years ago, I was coming from a place of within. So I will continue this along with anything else that I think goes along with it, which there's tons. But, we'll just keep it to this for now. But if you liked this video, please like, put your notifications on, subscribe to the channel, and please share. And I really hope that this was informative, and I really hope that you guys appreciate my thoughts. And thank you so much for hanging in there with me, and God bless.